We're trying to get it off and we can't.
If you would have pulled that one. Do you want to bring that one up here? I think they're moving back there. Mic check, mic check. That's a dealio. I found them. Starbase rock and roll. Body smasher, booty snatcher. Got it. Hi, mic check in the chat. Hey, everybody. Check then. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. No. I'm gonna move right here. It's open now. It's now open. Yeah, he just moved.
Good.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. That way I won't be right in your shot too. Yeah.
Good looking out.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
He went back there. You're gonna stand on a ladder, stand in the back row, you know. Yeah, what's up, chat? Hey. Welcome everybody. We are live. I'm not gonna be talking the whole time. All right. Here we are, everybody. Why so serious? What? I not for long. Yeah. Oh yeah. Just that time. It's like not long. Pretty dirty little. Look at this, everybody. Yo. Hold on, let me move the tripod. Welcome everybody. We are live at Starbase, Texas for the presentation of the Starship 420. I am on the second riser in the media section. Elon will be coming out on the stage right over here. We've got media all over here. Tower is lit, right? So raise your glass and fill me. It's gonna be bouncy. Dirty little freak. Raise your glass. Here, I'll step in front of the camera here just for a second. This is such a cool experience, everybody. I'm so glad that you'll be able to join. Here we go, coming in front.
I thought that was an announcement.
What's up, world? What's up? We live. I know I'm not in focus. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Mwah, mwah. Jessica Kirsh here live from Starbase, Texas. Ooh, this is a good song. You read them? Today's date is February 10th, 2022. The time is, I don't know, PM. But we're about to see Elon give an update on Starship 420 that stacked last night. So thanks for hanging out. Put it in the chat where you're coming in from. What time is it? What's the temperature? Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for taking photos too. That was awesome. What's your name? Kelsey. Hi, Kelsey. I'm Jessica. Nice to meet you. I just wanted to know your name. Oh, your hands are cold.
I know. Do you want water?
Yes, I would love one.
But
Thank you.
Have I met you before?
Maybe.
Would I invite you to the 2019 update?
No. But I'm a YouTuber and I'm based here in Brownsville now.
Amazing.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time outside of here on the street. And so
Wait, what's your YouTube channel?
it's Jessica Kirsh.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's so nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet
We're so
you.
excited you're here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome.
I know.
It's so cool.
And
Very-
it's only gonna get cooler.
I
Like,
know. It's crazy. It's so crazy.
It's such an exciting time.
I know.
And one day we'll look back and we'll be like, oh my gosh, can you remember when
Right.
Starbase looked like that?
Oh my God. Even just like last year, it looks so different.
I've been joking with so many people that like in 2019, the last time we did an update, it was like, there was nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
There
Yeah.
was nothing.
Nothing. Nope. Nothing. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it smells up fast.
Yes, you did a really great job with the event.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're so happy that this, excitement is so today.
Yeah, I mean, wow. This is just really cool. I'm honored to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So nice
Thank you
to
for
meet
having
you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Anyone else want water?
Thank you.
So the vibe here is upbeat, energetic, pretty much Jessica Kirsh. May not be in focus. Woo. We don't need a good time. All right, it may wobble for a second here, folks. Get wobbly. Everybody get wobbly. Here we go. It's always a good time when it's not right. Who likes my voice? It's off key. Da-na-na-na-na. It's always a good time. It's always a good time. It's always a good time.
Stronger network and with the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to forget the Wi-Fi.
Have to try. All right, that's a lot of moving, I know. We don't even have to try. I'll wipe the screen off, everybody. I'm gonna go take a couple selfies while this sits here. But I'll still be on audio, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Oh, we're getting lit, folks. Here we go. I've got a feeling. Who's got a feeling? These are, I believe, SpaceX employees in the front. Maybe some locals on Brownsville. Here we go. Here we go. I've got a feeling. Ooh. I hope you feel like you're here, chat. I've got a feeling. Can I squeeze through here? I'm sorry. Hey, Tim. Sorry, are you busy?
No, you're good.
Can we take a selfie?
Yeah, of course.
Is that cool?
Yeah. Which way? We gotta get this.
Yeah, right.
You good?
There we go. Okay. One more?
Do vertical so you can see Starship.
Oh, good call. Blech. I don't ever post vertical though. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Good night. This night's gonna be a good night. Tonight's good night. Have us a night. Let's end it up. I know that we'll have a ball. Get it down and go out and just sing it all. Mazel tov line. Move it, move it. There's 650 people here. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I can't point the camera away, but I have to my right, I've got Nikki and Sweeney. I've got Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. I've got Trevor Mullen. I've got Cooper Heim. And then I've got Cosmic Perspective behind me, just right behind me, all three of them. And to my front left, I've got Maria Pointer is down there, Carlos Cruz Images, Cruising Images, in Cruise Images. Boca Chica Gal Mary was standing next to me a second ago. Maria! Maria! Can you recognize me? Let's give it up. Let's give it up. I'm trying to see who else I know here. There are a lot of people in from out of town. I'm standing next to a very nice local channel. Mazel tov Lime. Move it, move it. They have a jib boom camera that's going around. We'll shut it down. Let me, if every single person on this chat, oh my gosh, we've got super chats coming in. So if everybody could do me a favor, every single person who hears me speaking right now, could you share out a link to this on every platform that you're on? Say Jessica Kirsh is live in Starbase at the Starship presentation. This is history, folks. We need to get people's eyes on this. Share out a link, please, please, please. We are live. We're waiting on Elon to come to the stage. He's supposed to come at 8 p.m. That is in 9 minutes here in Texas. It's gonna be wild. Singing on this day. Party every day. Party every day. I see these super chats. Thank you so much, everybody, for the super chats coming in here. Love you all. Love you all. You have 4 streams up. Nice. Hi, Cybertruck. Thanks for that $19.99. Jeremy Blocker, thank you so much. Johnny Spacer, thanks so much for that 20 bucks. Heidi Lish, thanks for that 20 Canadian dollars. Your face first day here. Happy to have you. Oh, I'm so grateful. Yes. Shout out to Hector Ramos for controlling on the back end of this. And shout out to Nick Lovell for creating that awesome thumbnail and photoshopping my face in and getting everything together. And shout out to my moderators who are in the chat right now, and channel members, Patreon supporters, everybody that sent over donations. They are not going unnoticed, and I appreciate you so much. I cannot. It's hard to convey. Elon is going to be right here, right there. We're going to be right up in his nose boogers. It's going to be great. I don't know why we can't see the SpaceX. Let me adjust that. If you're having fun in the chat, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let's tell YouTube that this is cool and you enjoy it. Let's see.
I was on this back row. Got the moonwalk going on.
Yeah, do moonwalk it backwards. Back it up. Okay, so that's just a SpaceX on I just can't, like, look at the tower. It's so different with the blue light. And the ship. Shippy 20, of course. The claw. I've never seen it from this perspective, y'all. And just an apology, yes, I am moving the camera around, but there are about 300 people standing on the same platform that I'm standing on, and it's going to be shaky. So we're just gonna hang tight with me here. One more time, shout out to Hector Ramos for setting all this up and patching everything in. Jack, fire. I just give a fist bump to Jack Beyer, everybody. Jack Beyer is in town, up for NASA spaceplate.
I can give it to you if you want, but...
Good.
There's Cam. Cam.
It starts like...
Cam.
Where are your cameras at?
Camera. Cam. Yeah, right there. Will you point and tap him? Cam, say hi to chat.
Hey, Dad, it's Cam.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
right.
Cam's here, folks. Let's get this Camity coming in. The Camity. I love it.
I talked to that guy, man. Hey, Jessica.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this presentation.
Hey-oh. It's coming. It's coming. Wait for chat. There's Carlos right there. Carlos. Look, there he is. Carlos. I can't point it the other. I can not point it the other direction. They said keep it pointed at the stage, so we're pointed at the stage. I can see some. I recognize some employees that I see walk by me. Here we go. Here we go.
Like I know you gotta move around, but like.
All right, we're going up higher. Just for a second. Just for a second. We're going higher. Oh, you headland. Oh no, you. There we go.
That's gonna launch for the day. I'm pretty sure. That's over there.
Am I in that shot?
Yeah, that's a really wide angle. So you and everyone else are in the shot.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Just as long as I'm not. Okay. Cool.
What?
This is Steven. I'm Aaron.
I should get a selfie with them too. Are you John? Hi, I'm Jessica Kirsh.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Great. Happy to be here.
Yes, good to see you.
Very cool site.
Yeah, good to meet you in person. You're doing really beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm very lucky.
it's like inspiring. It's really inspiring.
That's why we have this.
Inspiration? That's so cool. Very
Right
cool.
embodied.
Yeah, awesome. Nice to meet you too. Da-na-na-na-na. I'm here with Andrew Tooting and Ryan Chlinsky right now of Cosmic Perspective. They are right there. Why does it do that? No. Yep. Oh, Gazer's here.
How's it going?
Gazer, Starship Gazer's here in the flesh. He's back. How you feeling?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
Yeah, too.
What's
going on, Ryan?
Chief's here.
What up?
Hey.
Going?
Let's get a woo woo. And then I'm standing next to Chief of Cosmic Perspective. My mic's right here.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Howdy. Shout out to Felix and Stephanie and the whole gang out there at home. And then I'm also standing next to Ground Truth Picks, John. And
San Antonio too. San Antonio
are
in
you
the
guys?
house.
Are you budding up?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was wondering if it's bump. Bump, please, thank you. Done.
Are you loving it?
Done. I love this.
Is it everything you thought it'd be?
More.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Wait till Elon comes out.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be like Valentine's Day already.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
This is cool. It was a little overwhelming at first,
Yeah.
and we all like rushed in.
Gotta remember to breathe.
Gotta breathe. All right. Breathe, Chad. We have to remember to breathe.
And remember
breathe.
the first time because it gets a little less exciting every time.
Oh yeah, I understand. I'm standing next to La Padre. I heard that you gave me a shout out somewhere.
Oh yeah, I was naming everybody that was
Thank
here.
you so much.
I was trying to remember everything.
I love it. I'm
So many
standing here. Yes, this is so cool.
I'm glad you made it. I was wondering if they were going to let you in. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel very lucky. Can I get a selfie with you too? Is that okay? Bam, bam. I need to figure out how to turn night mode off. Beep, 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 beep. All right. Oh wait, should we get the ship in the background? Sorry. Here we go. Dark. 1, 2, 3. Love it. Awesome. Alrighty. Ooh, it's a cell. Oh, this is my jam. You all know this is my jam. I sing this. Woo! I'm wearing really tall heels, chat. Really tall heels. It's a celebration. Dun, 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 dun. Wahoo! Celebrate good times. Come on. Yeah, no. Yes, infection is good when it's only just energy. My thoughts.
Yeah, Peter can do it.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. We standing next to Jack Beyer, everybody. Woo woo! Jack Beyer in the house.
Now, I don't know.
Come on, why did that work?
I'm sure in Texas.
Here we go, here we go. Okay. Hector, send over. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Woo!
Hey. Welcome to Starbase. All right, welcome. Welcome. So it's been welcome to Starbase. Almost 2 years since our last update, and a lot has happened since then. So it's been almost 2 years since our last update, and a lot has happened since then. By the way, I'm getting like a strange audio feedback. I don't know. Do I sound okay to you guys? Okay, great. So it's been 2 years since we had our first Mark 1 rocket, and a lot has happened since then. We're going to go through the progress, but I'm just incredibly proud of the SpaceX team and all the support that we received from Cameron County, from Brownsville, from South Padre. I know some of you in the audience, so thank you very much for your support. So before we jump into the details of what's happened over the past 2 years, I think it's worth just talking a bit about this, like why. The sort of deep meaning behind this, like why build a giant reusable rocket? Why make life multi-planetary? And I think this is just an incredibly important thing for the future of life itself. And there's both the I felt that the sort of the defensive reason or the life insurance reason. That's one part of it. Do ourselves in, or there's a natural disaster. Now I'm naturally an optimist, so I think the probability of that is low, but it is not zero. And eventually the sun will expand. It might take a few 100 million years, so don't hold your breath. But eventually the sun will expand and destroy all life. So for those who really care about not just the humans, but all the life on Earth, it is very important, essential, that over the long term that we become a multi-planet species and ultimately even go beyond the solar system and bring life with us. And we are life's stewards, life's guardians. They, you know, the creatures that we love.
You know, for those that
can't
care
feel
about
special.
the environment and care about all the creatures on Earth. So it's like I would say like the defensive or the life insurance reason for life collectively. But there's also an inspiring reason, which is that life can't just be about solving problems. There have to be things that inspire you, that move your heart, that make you glad to be, when you wake up in the morning, you're excited about the future. And going out there and being a multi-planet species and being a spacefaring civilization and making science fiction, not fiction forever, I think that's one of those things. You know, I think that's what fires me up the most. Is like, let's go out there and find out what this universe is all about. You know, are there other species out there? Maybe. You know, hopefully it's. I mean, we want to go find out what the heck's going on. What is going on? You know, how do we get here? What's the meaning of life? 42. But what? Yeah. But,
Woo!
and you know, if we go out there and we explore the galaxy, ultimately, then we can find out some of these questions, and it would just be very exciting to do that, and something we can all look forward to. And even, you know, whether somebody chooses to go or not, I think, you know, vicariously we can all go there, just like with Apollo, where you know, only a handful of people went to the moon, but in a sense, we all went there. Humanity went there. And so even if somebody doesn't choose to go themselves, I think vicariously through others, they will go, they will understand, they will experience the universe. And I think that's incredibly fundamental to an exciting future. And that's why we're doing this.
Woo! Ow! Ow!
And yeah. Now, one of the rebuttals we sometimes hear is like, sure, but what about all the problems on Earth? And I completely agree that the vast majority of resources should be dedicated to solving problems on Earth. Absolutely. I'd say like more than 99% of our resources should be oriented towards solving problems on Earth. It's important to note that like NASA's annual budget is only 0.36% of the federal budget. And in fact, of the national GDP, it's less than 1/10 of a percentage point. So it's like we're only spending. So, and I think, you know, given this establishing security for life itself and having an exciting future and inspiring kids about the future, I think it's worth it.
Woo!
Basically.
Thanks, Elon!
So, well, how do we do this? How do we make life multiplanetary? What's the first step? And the essential technology, the holy grail breakthrough that's needed is a rapid and completely reusable rocket system. So this has never been accomplished before. And a lot of people, for the longest time, thought this was not possible. Now with Falcon 9, we've been able to show that you can have reuse of a boost stage and reuse of a fairing. So with Falcon 9, we've demonstrated a lot of reuse of the boost stage and of the fairing. We have over 100 reflights of the fairing of the booster, and I'm not sure of the fairing number, but it's alive. And that's a big step in the right direction. With Starship, we're aiming for full and rapid reusability. So we obviously need to accomplish that. That's not done yet, but but the success is one of the possible outcomes.
Yes.
Which I always think is when embarking on an endeavor, success should be at least one of the possible outcomes.
Agreed.
And for this design, that is the case. And we're aiming for rapid reusability, which is why the booster is going to take off and then fly back to the launch tower and aspirationally land on the arms. Which does sound insane, or as Roddy would say, audacious.
Yes.
But I if it does come in too fast and shear off the arms, then I guess it will be a farewell song. The dad jokes,
Keep them coming.
I have to warn you, they're only going to get worse.
Woo!
So, here I'd really just like to congratulate the SpaceX team.
Yeah.
And also thank NASA, the FAA, the Space Force, and everyone, and all of our customers that have helped us get to this point. It's insanely hard to get a rocket to orbit. It's insanely difficult. I have huge respect for anyone who's gotten a rocket to orbit. It's so hard. And we've had 144 successful launches, 106 landings.
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, these days I have to look on the internet and say, how many landings have we had? That's the internet. 83 flight proven launches. Although I have to say, I still have like launch PTSD every time the rocket takes off. I'm like,
Come on, land.
I just see all the ways that it could fail.
I think you should be stand-up comedian.
And then this year we're actually aiming to have around 50 launches, so it's about a launch per week on average. And so it's a hell of a year we got ahead of us. In terms of mass to orbit, if you look at like tonnage to orbit, this bar chart that we'll show here really illustrates how profound a rapidly reusable rocket, especially a big one, is, what effect that has on total tonnage to orbit. So the total mass to orbit to date of Earth is around 15,000 tons, maybe 16,000 tons. The mass per Starship, after a year, just 1 year of launching, if it launches 3 times a day, would be equal to all the mass to orbit of Earth to date. That's just one Starship launching 3 times a day for a year. Now, if you have, 10 Starships-ish, then, and we'll have more than that. Our goal is to be making at least a one stack per month, and then ultimately potentially a ship every 3 days. There'll be more ships than there are boosters because the booster actually, even though it's gigantic, will come back in about 6 minutes. Excitement guaranteed. So it only takes about 2 minutes on ascent and then about 4 minutes to return. So you'll know soon. The ship has to complete at least 1 orbit around Earth, and sometimes maybe 3 orbits or more. And each orbit is 90 minutes. So the ship is probably, reusable about every 6 to 8 hours. That's why we say sort of 3 times a day for the ship. But in theory, the booster is capable of being reused every hour. So that propellant pumps are designed to pull the rocket in about half an hour. So this really is designed for a rapid reusability. So if you can do roughly a million tons to Earth orbit, that's comfortably over 100,000 tons to the surface of Mars. Maybe 150,000 tons, depending on how good the landing system is. So now you can only go to Mars every 2 years. And I think maybe roughly you need about 1 million tons on Mars to have a self-sustaining city. But the critical threshold, I think, for Mars is to have a city that is self-sustaining. It's going to be incredibly difficult to make a self-sustaining city because if it's missing any ingredient at all, however minor that ingredient is, then if the ships from Earth stop coming for any reason, the city will die out. So the critical threshold to pass one of the most important great filters for any species is to have the other planet no longer dependent on the original planet. So I don't know exactly what that tonnage is, but I suspect it is at least, if one tries to get the right order of magnitude, about 1 million tons. Hopefully it's not more than that. Starship is capable of doing that. It's capable of getting 1 million tons to the surface of Mars and creating a self-sustaining city. And I think we should try to do that as soon as we can. The window of opportunity may be open for a long time, and I hope it is, but it may also be open for a short time. And this is the first point in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth that it has been possible. I mean, let that sink in. Right, there's a sink, let it in. So knocking at the door, I mean, it's a sentient sink. Space it, let it, I mean, so 4.5 billion years. It's been a while. This is the first time it's been possible. We need to seize the opportunity and do it as quickly as possible. I mean, to be frank, civilization is feeling a little fragile these days. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm an optimist, but I think we got to protect the downside here and try to build that city on Mars as soon as possible and secure the future of life. And it's going to be an incredibly exciting adventure. Now, the sales pitch for going to Mars is that it's going to be cramped, dangerous, difficult, very hard work. You might die, and that's the sales pitch. So far from being some sort of escape hatch, it will be extremely difficult and dangerous and tough. Mars is a fixer-upper of a planet, and so it's going to take some work to make it easy to live there. But one day we could make Mars a planet like Earth, and I think we should. So, just some facts about Starship, and these numbers will evolve over time. The height of the ship is about 50 meters, 164 feet. The 9 meter, 30-foot diameter. Well, you can just see it basically. It's got about 1,200 tons of propellant on the ship, and thrust is about 1,500 tons. Now these numbers will, we'll probably add more propellant over time, increase thrust. Diameter will stay the same. It's a huge pain to change diameter. So that'll tend to stay the same, but it'll probably get a little bit longer. And we're expecting payload capacity of 100 to 150 tons, depending on which orbit. So to a Starlink orbit, roughly 100 tons. Over time, I think we could probably get the orbit for orbital refilling, the payload to an orbit for orbital refilling to about 200 tons, which is going to be very important for getting to Mars. So for getting to Mars, you also need the orbital refilling. Just like you have aerial refueling, the rockets will need orbital refilling. It's actually mostly oxygen. There's 3.5 tons of oxygen for every 1 ton of fuel. So that's why it's refilling, not refueling. Heat shield. So this is the world's largest heat shield. And this is, we actually make this at a little factory in Florida near Cape Canaveral. I would call it the bakery. And we're actually using a lot of techniques that are used for roofing tiles. So we need to have a heat shield that is capable of resisting extreme heat, but also is not crazy expensive. And our heat shield team has done amazing work in creating the world's largest heat shield, and one that is reusable, but also robust and low cost. So it's not a crazy money heat shield. And yeah, we need good heat shield technology for entering orbit. Orbital refilling. We were going to do an animation of this, but it looked a bit wrong. It is a fluid transfer.
But
so play a little Barry White. So that's one of the technologies that is necessary for going to Mars. So the ship would get to orbit with payload.
whoa.
And then in orbit we'd refill the tanks so it would have enough propellant to get to Mars. Mars is far. So now this is essentially docking in orbit, and with Dragon docking with the space station, this is a technology that that SpaceX has become quite good at. We've done, I think at this point, a couple dozen dockings with the space station, and it's actually way harder to dock with the space station than to dock with yourself. So this is, it is a thing we need to just solve for Starship, and I'm confident that we can do this because we've done a lot of orbital docking already with the Dragon. But this is going to be an important thing to demonstrate. Won't be necessary in the near term for Starlink launches, but it will be necessary for Mars and the Moon. So let's see, super heavy booster. So it was 70 meters, but then there was an extra half barrel section that the team deleted, and totally accidentally it's 69 meters.
Oh.
It's also booster 4 and ship 20. I mean,
Woo.
This is a pure coincidence. I was one with me alone. I hope it's good luck. So yeah, so propellant capacity is like around 3,400 tons. I think it'll probably it will increase over time. Probably get to 36, maybe 3,800 tons. Thrust is around 7,600 tons. That'll probably increase too over time. Just to put this into perspective, though, the Saturn V was 7.5 million pounds of thrust, and Starship is 17.
Whoa.
So it's more than twice the thrust of a Saturn V, which was that's the largest rocket ever to get to orbit. It's worth noting, Super Heavy is the largest flying object of any kind, or will be. It's yeah, very big. You can see it right there.
Woo!
That booster has 29 engines. The next booster, we actually increased the engine count to 33. We've kind of bounced around on engine count, because I think at one point we had like 37 engines, and they went to 29. We finally settled on 33 engines, which is about actually the most number of engines you can actually fit under that booster without like expanding the diameter. Yeah, and then this tower. This tower from design to construction was 13 months. So it's quite an epic structure.
Wow.
It's really worth emphasizing that the whole launch system, which is basically stage 0, is I'd say as complex and difficult as either the booster or the ship. So I really want to emphasize that this is and it's a very difficult thing that requires a lot of hardcore engineering, and it's really, like I said, the tower and the launch system, which I call stage 0, is just as important as stage 1 and stage 2. This is really some wild stuff here. In fact, I mean, hard to believe it's real, except, you know.
It is. It's right there.
It's right there. So, yeah. Then Raptor development. Raptor 1 was 185 tons of thrust. Raptor 2 is 230 tons of thrust, and I think over time we could get that to probably 250 tons. So that's, and it's also significantly simplified. So you can see the difference between V1 and V2. The V2 is, V1 looks like kind of like a Christmas tree spaghetti pile. A lot of fiddly bits. And V2 is greatly simplified while also increasing thrust at the same time. So it actually, Raptor 2 costs about half as much as Raptor 1, despite having much more thrust. And I think just generally being a much easier engine to build and a more robust engine. So very excited about Raptor version 2, and it's only going to get better from here.
Woo! Oh, that sounds so good.
So Raptor 2 is pretty sick. And we've actually, the peak thrust that we've operated Raptor 2 at this point is 247 tons. And so I'm confident that with some improvements we can get to a 250 ton operating point. And continue to simplify and sort of robustify the engine. So it's really a spectacular piece of engineering. Extremely difficult to make and succeed. This engine has been mind-bogglingly difficult, but it is one of the essential keys to. I mean, it is essential, obviously, to making Starship work. It'll be the first full first-stage combustion engine to get to orbit. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Kind of need that ISB for us to wait. So, why Starbase? A lot of people like to say why Starbase? Why here? And we kind of needed a confluence of factors. The getting to orbit, you want to launch eastward so that you have help from Earth's rotation. So the closer you are to the equator, the more of a sort of a boost from Earth rotation that you get. So you want to be as south as possible and launch eastward. And then, it's always possible that something goes wrong. And so you want to have a good clear area. You want several miles around the launch site to be unpopulated or at least clearable. And that doesn't actually leave a lot of options. It's basically here and Cape Canaveral, or Cape Kennedy is where are the two possibilities. And then because we had a lot of launches going out of the Cape, we didn't want to disrupt the Cape activity, the operational launches, with sort of the advanced R&D Starship. So it was important to decouple the operational launches from the R&D launches, and that's why we're at this location. And once again, I'd just like to thank Cameron County and Brownsville South Padre and the remaining residents of Boca Chica Village. Where I live, by the way, it's my primary residence is that little village over there.
Yeah.
So, and it's been great. It's been great being here, and yeah, like super appreciate the support of the community. Yeah. Anyway. So I think we've got a video to show what we hope will happen.
Oh. Here we go.
Oh wait, sorry. We have some upcoming Starship missions. Orbital flight is really just the beginning. So we're going to have a number of Starlink missions that will launch Starlink satellite version 2. But even more exciting than that is the NASA human spaceflight mission. We're incredibly honored that NASA has selected Starship to take astronauts back to the moon for the first time in half a century, which is kind of mind-blowing.
Snapping.
I'd just like to say, like, SpaceX is just deeply honored and appreciative that NASA would choose us for this incredibly important mission, and we'll get it done.
Oh.
And then there's also the Dear Moon mission, which is going to take artists around the moon, and that's Satoru Miyazawa, and he's going to select I think a dozen artists and do a loop around the moon, which will be very exciting. And there's going to be some future announcements that I think people will be pretty fired up about. So. Anyway, super exciting future ahead with this. There'll probably be a few bumps in the road, you know, but we'll want to iron those out with satellite missions and test missions and get to a high flight rate and have something that's extremely reliable for human spaceflight. So,
Here we go.
Let's make this real.
Woo!
Any questions? Let's make this real!
I have a question. Question.
Far away. Anyone? I can't see you. So
Mine's-
Oh,
have a-
okay. Okay.
Raptors on the Starship! 6 of them. Perfect.
Yes, there's 6 Raptors on Starship. Currently 3
You
with the
can't see.
vacuum nozzle.
Okay.
Sea level.
Oh, okay.
And I think
gonna ask a
would
question.
say, like, we'll probably end up adding another 3 vacuum engines to kind of fill in the gaps and stretch the ship. I think is going to make a lot of sense.
How much will Cape Canaveral versus Starbase be used?
You'll have to yell, unfortunately.
Don't yell.
Oh,
There's a
sorry.
microphone right there.
Oh, there's a microphone.
We are building a launch site, a Starship
Please don't yell
launch
questions out.
tower at 39A at Cape Kennedy.
I thought that's
And
what they said.
we're also
There's a
building
microphone.
a Starship production facility at the Cape. So we'll have production facility and launch site here, and a production facility and launch site at the Cape as well.
Are you working
It's important to have
on
redundancy.
life support system?
Sure.
Life support system.
It's Irene Fox with Aviation Week over here.
I've got lights in my eyes, so unfortunately I can't see.
Okay.
I'm blinded. So I can hear where the speaker is coming from.
Okay.
but,
You should, I believe you're expecting to hear in a couple weeks about the possible finding of no significant impact from the FAA. Have you gotten any indications if that's going to come through, and what is your time frame for the orbital flight test? Thanks.
Well, we don't have we don't have a ton of insight into where things stand with the FAA. We have gotten sort of a rough indication that there may be an approval in March, but that's all we know.
So, hi Elon, Marcus Harvey. Can you talk about the point-to-point capability? Is there a possibility between here and Cape Canaveral?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess technically yes. So, I mean, depending on how good things get with Starship, there are some scenarios where it might actually be the lowest cost means of transporting cargo long distances. So the interesting thing is that the capital efficiency of a rocket is much better than the capital efficiency of a plane for long distance flights. So now this would really be more for if you're going like, I don't know, a quarter or a third or halfway around the world, where if you went from, I don't know, say here to Singapore or something, like that's a long flight. So, I mean, I don't know how long that is. I'm not sure you can even go there nonstop, but it's probably like 20 hours plus. And but in a rocket, it would be less than an hour, so like 45 minutes or thereabouts. So that means you'd be able to use the rocket 20 times more often than an aircraft. So it's 20 times the capital efficiency. So provided the propellant cost is competitive with aircraft. And bear in mind, like I was saying, like there's 3.5 tons of liquid oxygen for every 1 ton of fuel. And liquid oxygen is basically just electric cost of electricity. Because it's in the air, basically. There is a scenario where it's economically compelling to do long distance cargo and people transport with Starship. That'd be very cool, and I think that'd be great for getting a high flight rate and a business case for supporting a lot of Starships operating. Basically, nothing's faster than an ICBM.
We got a question right here, Elon, right in the middle, right here. Great, hands up in the middle.
I mean, I literally have lights in my eyes, and it's pitch dark in front of me.
It's fine. Hi, Elon. Michael Sheets with CNBC. you opened this presentation by addressing a little bit of the criticism that's been aimed at space travel being seen as maybe a pet project or not really valuable to folks who have problems here on Earth. I was wondering if you could get a little more into the specifics on comparing not just the U.S. government spending that's happening on space travel versus other things, but maybe in terms of SpaceX itself, how you and private investment on a dollar value compares to the taxpayer-funded projects or contracts that SpaceX has won over the years.
Well, I think objectively, the cost efficiency of SpaceX is the best in history, I think, for any rocket development. And we are talking about a rocket that's more than twice the mass and thrust of Saturn V, and also designed to be fully reusable. So obviously, also much better from an environmental standpoint to have a fully reusable rocket. For a development cost that is, I don't know, between 5 and 10% of Saturn V. So that's pretty good. Because we need to make it work. So it's not worked yet, but it will work. Might be a few bumps along the road, but it'll work. I feel, at this point, highly confident that we'll get to orbit this year. That's, we're making a lot of rockets, making a lot of engines. We're close to achieving a Raptor 2 every day production rate. So 7 a week, which is tough for a complex engine. And I think by the end of this year we'll be able to produce 7 booster per month. So nice. This is I don't know, at least an order of magnitude, maybe 2 orders of magnitude more efficient than anything in the past. Yeah.
Hey, Elon, this is your Uber cluster. I'm just wondering, what does SpaceX's plan and timeline look like if the FAA ultimately decides to do a deeper environmental review of Starbase? And then one other thing, you might be able to give us an updated figure on what it costs to Starship and what it would cost a customer to buy a flight on one. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I am optimistic that we will get approval. Like, I think objectively, I think this is not something that will be harmful to the environment. We've obviously flown the ship several times and done multiple landings and takeoff landings, and we've fired the engines a lot. So I think the reality is that it would not have a significant impact. Now, of course, that doesn't mean things don't get delayed from a regulatory standpoint. And we are in a litigious society, and so there's always sort of lawsuits from someone, lawsuit city. Now we do have the alternative of the Cape, and we actually applied for environmental approval for launch from the Cape a few years ago and received it. So we actually are approved from an environmental standpoint to launch from 39A. So I guess our worst case scenario is that we would be delayed for 6 to 8 months to build up the Cape launch tower and launch from there.
Okay.
From a cost standpoint, the cost will improve significantly over time. So, because it'll take us a moment to achieve full reusability and full rapid reusability. We'll probably lose a few vehicles along the way. With Falcon 9, I think it took us 14 or 15 attempts to successfully land the first booster. I don't think it'll take us that many with Starship because we have that experience, but it's certainly not a sure thing that it'll work the first time. From a cost standpoint, I mean, it's a 100-ton capability to orbit. On a marginal cost to launch basis, that doesn't count fixed costs, which obviously have to be covered. It may be as little as a few $1 million per flight. Maybe even as low as $1 million per flight.
Wow.
So this is crazy. These are crazy low numbers by space standards. Crazy low. Now, we do have to cover fixed costs. So depending on what our launch rate is, we have to divide the fixed cost by the number of launches. So the more launches that happen, the lower the total cost, the fully considered cost of the flight would be. And I'm highly confident it would be less than $10 million all in, just over, if you say like fast forward like 2 or 3 years from now. I think it's highly likely to be everything included less than $10 million a flight for 100 tons to orbit capability. And 100 tons to a useful orbit, not to a low orbit. To a low orbit, it would be 150 tons. So this is ridiculously good compared to everything else. And it should be, because if you think of like, if this was if aircraft were not reusable, how much would an air ticket cost? I mean, it's like, for, I don't know what, the 787 or 777 goes for these days, I don't know, a few $100 million. If you have to spend, $200 million every flight, it would be very expensive to fly somewhere. And you need 2 of them for, another one for the return trip. So, it would obviously be absurd. So if you can imagine if we were in a world where aircraft were expendable, and then someone came along with a reusable aircraft, it would be an absolutely profound game changer. That's what needs to happen for life to become multiplanetary. That's what this design, I'm confident, is capable of that. It's just a question of how long it will take to refine that and have it really dialed.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, this is Andrea Leinfelder of the Houston Chronicle. I wanted to know, when and how do you plan to test Starship refueling in space? And also, aside from NASA, Dear Moon, and Starlink, can you elaborate on the potential customer base for Starship? Thank you.
I apologize. Actually, I zoned out for a second. I was thinking about. So, can you say that question again?
Sorry. Okay. When and how?
We have some mic issues.
Okay. When and how do you plan to test Starship refueling in space? And aside from NASA, Dear Moon, and Starlink, can you elaborate on potential customers for Starship? Thank you.
I think orbital refilling, and I want to emphasize it is refilling, not refueling, because it's 3.5 times as much oxygen than fuel. So mostly are carrying oxygen up there. I optimistically, towards the end of next year, I think I'd be surprised if it's longer than 2 years for doing the refilling. And there are a lot of additional customers that want to use Starship. I don't want to steal their thunder. They're going to make their announcement, and but I think this will get a lot of use, a lot of attention. It's like I said, once we make this work, it's an utterly profound breakthrough in access to orbit. And when you have an utterly profound breakthrough, the use cases will be hard to imagine. I mean, when aircraft first came along, aircraft were viewed as toys, like they were like a novelty, not a means of transport. They were like, oh look, we can fly like a bird briefly and dangerously for a few minutes. Nobody at the time, or at least very few people at the time, thought that there would be a global aircraft industry with airports throughout the world carrying people to every part of Earth in ridiculously short periods of time. You know, when the Wright brothers first took off, I mean, most people were just riding horses. So you're like, oh, you know, like riding a horse, see this crazy device, looks like witchcraft. And they would not have imagined that there would be aircraft flying, you know, tens of thousands of aircraft flying to every corner of the world. So I think we made this really could be an extremely profound situation, and we really can't even imagine all the use cases at this point.
Hi, Elon. This is Steve Clark with the Brownsville Herald. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
So if the FAA does come back and say we need an EIS, does Starbase bounce back from that at some point?
Yeah, I mean, it would obviously set us back for quite some time because an EIS takes a lot longer than an EA. So we would have to shift our priorities to Cape Kennedy.
Okay, and long term, what do you envision for Starbase? Like a spaceport with flights coming and going and Starship manufacturing, or what is the future role of Starbase?
The future role of Starbase, I think, it's well suited to be kind of like our advanced R&D location. So it's like where we would try out new designs and new versions of the rocket, and then I think probably Cape Kennedy would be our sort of main operational launch site. And then, I don't know, over time, I think there's going to be, we'll have floating spaceports, like ocean spaceports. We've got these 2 converted oil rigs that are going to be turned into orbital launch sites. And they can be moved around the world. So, you know, that I think there could be quite a few of those. You know, I think about like what would really work for long distance travel, because the rocket is quite loud. You want to be, you know, I don't know, 20 miles away from a major city or 30 miles away from a major city, just so you don't, you know, you're not disturbing people too much. So I think probably most of the launch sites long term will be kind of ocean or seas spaceports. So like maybe located like 20 miles, 30 miles offshore. And this would allow Starship to connect any cities that are on the ocean or on the sea, and have a high flight rate, but without disturbing people too much. You know, I think people are willing to, you know, have something that's loud occasionally, but if you want to have it frequently, then it probably needs to be offshore.
Hello, Elon. I'm Cam Verlock with the SpaceX Reddit community.
Cam,
So we talked a lot about how Raptor 2 is crucially important for Starship development and for the future of Starship. So I'm curious, what general improvements have you made with Raptor 2 to ensure it's not only more efficient and more powerful, but also much easier to produce and less expensive as well and faster? And how do you plan to continue to iterate further on the design in the future?
So,
You can see the difference over there, the Raptor 1 versus Raptor 2. You know, a lot of the changes.
We converted a bunch of flanges to welds. And we're actually, over time, will convert even more flanges to welds. I hate flanges. Especially if you've got high pressure and a cryogenic fluid or super hot gas. Flanges and seals are a nightmare. And so, we've got parts of that engine that are, sort of 700-800 bar, sort of 11, 12,000 psi, which is nutty. And so just going to welded joints instead of flanges is pretty helpful. The pre-burner controllers have been consolidated into a sort of unified box as opposed to being kind of like all over the engine. So we're getting close to the point where I think Raptor will not need shrouds. So shrouds are a huge pain in the ass, like basically putting a whole shield around the engine, especially for the gimbling engines, where it's got to kind of have like a sort of eyeball seal, like it's like rotating in a circle with a hot gas seal. With a bit more deletion and integration, I think the engine will be sort of flame-proof, more or less, and then we can get rid of the shrouds, which would be a big mass saving. Yeah. So a lot more could go on. We're also operating at a higher chamber pressure. I think we could probably operate. I think over time we can operate it at 330 bar sustain in the main chamber. Without having the pre-burner pressures be too high, by essentially not by losing less pressure. There's like a whole pressure ladder going from the turbo pumps and pre-burners to the main chamber, and by getting rid of a bunch of the choke points, we can have less pressure loss, and so the pumps can effectively produce more pressure in the main chamber due to less loss in the secondary systems. Do you have any specific questions or?
Sorry, yeah. Spaceflight. Can you talk a little bit about the abort modes that are available per ship if there were ever to be a problem during the climb to orbit? What would be available to the crew in that regard? And also on that same level, the life support systems for ship. Where do those stand, and what are the challenges that you're finding with just the sheer volume in Starship for that? Thank you.
So, Starship will not have an independent abort system, but I think something that would make sense is to have the thruster weight of the ship be enough that it could do it could take off from the booster, even if the booster has a failure at the pad level. So you get the thruster weight of the ship at sea level above 1, then even if there is something goes wrong with the booster, the ship can essentially fly away from the booster. And so that's something that I think would be important for carrying people, and also for high value cargo, to have the ship have thruster weight greater than 1 even at sea level. And then there's like I said, that would be like the 9-engine version. And then even if you lost one engine, I think you should still be able to do an abort. So I think for crewed missions, we would essentially maybe detank the ship to some degree so that you'd have kind of a launch abort capability with the ship, even if you lost an engine. That'd be my recommendation. From a life support standpoint, we would have a sort of a renewable, like for long, we could scale up the life support system in Dragon. That would certainly be an option, and that would work for missions that are, say, a week or 2 weeks. That would be fine. For missions to Mars, you'd want a life support system that is renewable. Or it's essentially recycling everything in a closed loop system with close to zero loss to mass. So that would be a more advanced system. We'd have to convert the CO2 back into O2 and kind of recycle, you know, poop and urine and stuff. Yeah. So that's a harder problem, but it's not an immediate problem. We can certainly scale up Dragon for kind of missions that are, you know, a few weeks long.
Hi, Elon. Eric Berger with Ars Technica. Thanks for taking some questions. I'm wondering if you do get that approval from the FAA in March. I know that there's really no way of knowing, but could you talk a little bit about the hardware readiness, sort of where you are technically? You know, the launch tower is pretty incredible, but sort of the rocket, the ground systems, software. Like if you were to get some kind of approval from the FAA in March, you know, would you be looking at, you know, how quickly could the hardware be ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're close to having the hardware ready to go. So right now, I think we're tracking to have the regulatory approval and hardware readiness around the same time. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm to say, you know, hopefully, you know, basically a couple months for both. Yeah.
Hi, Seth Kurkowski with SpaceXport.com. You mentioned launching from the sea. Could you give us an update on the current status of using Phobos and Deimos for Starship operations?
Yeah, so Phobos and Deimos thus far have been a relatively low priority. We needed to make the launch site here work. This has been quite a difficult endeavor. So we deprioritized the Phobos and Deimos. And just last month, we started to, we were going to take one of them and build at least a catch tower on it. So, and ultimately we will, ultimately meaning like, I don't know, later this year, build a full launch capability on one of the platforms. So I think hopefully by the end of this year we will have a launch capability at Cape Kennedy at 39A and on one of the ocean platforms as well.
Hi Ellen, this is Adam Cardona with CBS 4 and NBC 23 here in the Rio Grande Valley. This is more of a community-based question. This past week, several VISD students, community leaders, and community members got together to ask you a question and to show their gratitude. Not sure if you got that message yet, but they were saying thank you, Elon, and they wanted to know if you would be able to attend their Chados Days festivities here in Brownsville. So, on behalf of them, will you be attending?
It sounds like fun, so like, when is it?
I believe it starts on the 19th through the 25th. So you have several days to attend Sombrero Festival, Charo Days parades, enjoy some great food. Will we see you there?
I will be there.
All right. That's going to be hard to follow up. Tim Dodd, everybody asked about here. Okay, so a little bit more Raptor 2 talk again. Where are you at as far as production? How many do you have? You know, are they handling testing? Are they more cantankerous, less cantankerous? You know, just give us a little more rundown, like where you're actually at. Is that a bottleneck for the next booster as well? Like, we assume the next booster is going to require, Raptor 2. So, kind of where are you at with the production and the testing so far?
Well, I mean, right now, of any technical problem, I'm spending the most time personally on Raptor 2. Like really, they're like the two things that occupy the most number of mental cycles are Raptor 2 and Tesla Full Self-Driving. The only remaining issue that we're aware of is melting the chamber. So that thing really wants to melt. It's got like on the order of a gigawatt of heat. So pretty hot. Like a gigawatt's like what a nuclear power plant produces. So it's really desperately trying to melt at any point in time. We've got, we're flowing an immense amount of cryogenic fuel to cool the chamber in the channels. We have head-end foam cooling. We've got throat foam cooling, and we're trying to get the exact sort of balance between head-end foam cooling and throat foam cooling to not melt the chamber. I think we're pretty close. But we have a couple engines in the stand that have I think 700 or 800 seconds of operation and several start cycles. So it's looking positive, but that's the remaining issue is melting the chamber. But in the meantime, we're scaling up all production to get to 1 a day or better. So apart from melted chambers, we're doing well. We've got a lot of pumps, a lot of electronics, a lot of pre-burner controllers. Just not melting the chamber is very difficult. Is the kind of the last remaining challenge. But I think we're very close to solving it. And then the production system has a lot of momentum, like I said. We're really, like next week we'll probably make at least 5 or 6 Raptor 2s.
Wow.
For example.
That's a lot.
And I think we'll be at a 7 a week or better by next month.
Woo!
Those are crazy. These are crazy numbers for rocket engines, by the way.
Super crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Hi, Elon. Robert Perlman with Space.com and Collect Space. You mentioned the NASA contract for the human landing system. At one point, do you envision splintering off development of Starship for HLS, or how are you going to balance the timelines of rapid reusability versus NASA's own schedule when they're ready to go to the moon?
I don't think there's really a conflict there. We're going to be making a lot of ships, a lot of boosters, obviously a lot of engines. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like with the booster with 33 engines and a ship with 9 engines is 42. There we go again.
Woo!
And that also total coincidence. So, adding legs to land on the moon, we do not think is like that can be done pretty quickly. I don't really see any conflict between achieving rapid reusability and getting to the moon. A high production rate solves many ills. So we're aiming for a high production rate.
Hi, Lauren Grush with The Verge. I'm wondering if you can clarify the number of launches that you plan to conduct in order to do these refillings. I know a lot of numbers have been thrown around, so I'm wondering if you have landed on a final number. And how quickly do you plan to launch those missions back-to-back to refuel the vehicle to get to the moon? Thanks.
Yeah, so the missions would happen pretty fast for refilling the vehicle to minimize oil off of the cryogenic tanks. For the vehicle going to the moon, we have some installation to minimize oil off.
I'm mic'd up right
but we'd probably be launching, I don't know, probably every few hours. Aspiration.
Hi, Elon. I'm Kevin Haymeyer from Space Eccentric on YouTube and Rumble. My viewers are really hungry to know anything about the interior design for crewed Starship. You have HLS, you have Dear Moon. And last we heard, maybe a year or two ago, you were looking to hire Tesla employees to design the interior for Starship. How's that going?
Well, we aren't focusing a lot on the interior quite yet, and that will be important down the road. But our focus right now is just getting to orbit and proving out return of the booster and return of the ship. It's fundamentally very difficult to build a fully reusable rocket given the strength of Earth's gravity and the density of our atmosphere. Like there's no, you can't have a lot of mass margin. So our focus is solving that rapid reusability. Like I said, we'll have a high production rate, so we're not dependent on we're not dependent on full reusability, but really that's the breakthrough that's fundamentally important to change the course of human civilization to become a multi-planet species.
Elon, this will be the last question for you. Elon, Bob Duncan, local resident.
Oh shoot, I think we're cutting out on the mic.
Are we cutting out? Is that better? Hi, evening. My name is Bob Duncan. I'm a local resident here in the area. And first off, thank you for a very cool evening. So this has been a lot of fun for us. As a local resident, it's been exciting to watch the amazing progress that SpaceX has made here in Boca Chica. And I was just curious, we're standing on the southern tip of the state of Texas. We're a few hundred yards from your residence. Could you just speak to what, if anything, has been appealing or advantageous about operating in the state of Texas versus other parts of the country? Thank you.
Well, I think we've, you know, the well, I mean, we've had a lot of support from the community, and you know, something that just happens over time with societies is that kind of rules and regulations build up, and they build up, you know, more in some places than others, and they didn't, you know. I think Texas has the right amount of rules and regulations. Well,
show us again.
Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the evening, and I think we might be able to get you closer to the rocket if you'd like. We'll get you as close as possible. Safe. And yeah, feel free to take pictures, have a good time, and let's go like hell to have an exciting future.
Woo! There he goes. And he's out. Elon out. That was so fun. Okay. What do you think, chat? That was awesome. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me this evening. Let me do one final shot up at Starship. That was so fun. I'm gonna stay here. Hector, if you could stay here for a second while I film people leaving. Pack it up. Okay, I gotta pack it up, y'all. All right. Thank you so much.
We'll see you, brother.
Love you all. See you. What'd you say? That was fun. That was super fun. Super honored to be here.
Okay, it just wrapped up. Right up.
What would we do without